So, we've known each other for a while now, and when we set up the house concert, you said, when I said I was looking for somebody to interview, you said that you had actually been in foster care.
It wasn't foster care, it was state care. My mom signed me over to the state when I was younger, while she was having some problems, and I kind of remained there off and on until I became of age.
When did the problem start? Like, what age do you remember?
Always. Since I was born, my parents were always fighting, and it was kind of chaotic and never normal.
So when you were 8, you and your mom went to a shelter for battered women.
She grew up in an orphanage, actually. I'm not sure exactly how she ended up there. She had both of her parents. I knew my grandparents, but she lived in an orphanage when she was younger. I'm not sure how long. But she has a lot of emotional problems. Her father was super abusive, and her mom was just really passive and weak, and she kind of followed in those footsteps where she didn't have any strength on her own, to work in society and support a child and be, strong and be assertive. And she has some mental things, multiple personality, this and that. Whenever she gets into challenging situations, she reverts back to childhood, and so she just wasn't very strong and didn't feel like she could do anything or make it on her own. So, and she was in an abusive relationship, and now at this point my dad was looking for us, and he was pretty violent at that time, and he would have no doubt abused her when he found us and took me back. So we were kind of hiding, and she latched onto that and used the services.
And what age were you signed over to the state?
I'm pretty sure it was at the tail end of 9. We after that got an apartment on our own. She was, totally self-medicating on pot and out and wine and this and that, and she was extremely depressed. She would just sit in the room all day and cry in the dark and be mad at me all the time, and we would fight, and so we would get into physical fights as well, and I would run away from home.
At what age?
This was around 9.
Right.
Jump out the window and, like I said, go to my friend's house, sleep in her closet, or just go do normal things, go walk around in the mall, or go walk around in the woods, or whatever, until I was caught, and then go home. But the one time I went home, after that, she picked me up from school the next day and said that I had a dentist appointment, and so she was taking me out of school, but instead she was really taking me to a juvenile facility, and they came out and got me out of the car, and she signed me over then to a place called Rivendell, signed me over to the state, and then I was in like maximum security juvenile facilities, psychological facilities after that. So I think I just turned 10 when I went there the first time, and you stay for about 10 months or a year, it seemed, and then you get out and go home, where the parent hasn't really been going through any sort of counseling or therapy, so you get back home and it's all still the same. Whatever tools you've learned, they haven't learned. So we would fight and go through the whole thing again. I would run away, and then I would get picked up on an APB and get brought back to another facility or whatever. So that went on until I was about 15.
You said that you slept in your friend's closet. You both were 9-year-olds, right?
At this time, I was a little older. I guess I was 13. I guess I was 12, 13 when I was hanging out with her and going to her house. Before that, I didn't have anywhere to go. I would just go and hang out, wherever, walking around the streets, or go to a mall, or whatever, sneak into a movie, or just do normal stuff that made me feel okay for a while, and then I would get picked up and taken either back home or to a place. And so yeah, I'm still always trying to piece together all the things as far as time, the timeline. I forget ages and where I was, but yeah, I was around 12, 13 at that time, hanging out with her.
When she actually signed you over, you were like, when it was like a final deal, when she signed you over to the state, how old were you?
I think it was 11.
11.
I was 11.
Do you remember how you felt?
I felt thrown away. I felt given away. I felt like, she had made me feel that way many times, and she didn't have the capacity to take care of me, and she would drop me off at strangers' houses for a couple of months, or my aunt's house, or whoever's house, and I would, was actually comfortable with that. It wasn't a scary thing. I had grown up moving a ton. I was really good at being in new situations and just accepting whatever it was, and and then there's the next thing, and then there's the next thing. So, but yeah, I was really upset because I was signed over to the state, which means I had to live in these facilities, which just sucked and were hellish, and you have absolutely no freedom and no chance of freedom, and there didn't seem to be. We weren't working together much on like making things better between us, so it was just like I was just going to be in these places until I was old enough not to be, and then I would be on my own. And it's kind of how it went. I would go into a place, I think my insurance would allow them to keep me, like I said, for 10 or 12 months, and then they have to let you go. So it would be a cycle of that, going to a place for almost a year, and then going back with my mom, and it not working out, me running away, and then me getting picked up and put into another place. And so this was 2 or 3 different places that this happened in. One of the places was twice. And then,
Did you ever go to a foster family?
No, I don't know what the deal was. I wasn't eligible for a group home even. It was always maximum security, psychological facilities where it was just like so rigid and military-like, but with a psychological spin on it, which was constant. So it was really intense. These places are intense. Thinking of them now, it's like it's a whole nother world. It's the inside and this is the outside, and you're gone when you're in there, but it's like such an intense world that they've created, and so rigid and scheduled, and just.
Did you think it was fair that you were in basically a maximum security prison?
No, I didn't think it was fair. A lot of the other kids were kids who like killed their brother or burned their house down or have self-abuse issues and this and that, and I was a runaway, and I didn't feel like I deserved to be in that intense of a place. I wanted to go to a group home, or I think that maybe I wasn't allowed because it was a runaway. I was a run risk, so I was never allowed to go out for the weekend or go outside or anything like that. But and if I got the chance, I probably would have run away. So
right. What if you're running away? You were either running to something or away from something. What did you? Would that be fair to say?
Sure, both.
What were you running to?
Peace, some moments of peace, just with myself. I would just flee situations of intense fighting with my mother. It was just all overbearing and crazy, and I would jump out the window to just go walk. Go sit in the woods, or go walk, or just peace, space to myself, go see my friend. Just small things. She was really, really strict, and I was grounded constantly because I was always in trouble from fighting with her, and so it was just a life of a constant cycle of always trying to find some space and some peace and just some freedom.
Was there someone during that process that cared about you, that loved you?
Well, my dad was somewhere caring about me, but she had a restriction against him, so I didn't see him from the time we left when I was 8 until I was 16. But and I didn't have, I had an aunt on his side that cared about me a lot, but I didn't have any contact with her either until I was 16, so it was just me and my mom. And then I met my friend, and so I had my friend, and she was where I went, when I got older. She was where I would gravitate toward. When I would leave, I would want to find her and be with her. But that's pretty much it. Along that string of years, there wasn't really anybody else.
No, none of the people at the facilities that you, or nobody within the state network?
Closed off and emotionally closed off. The counselors there did their job counseling, but didn't get too close. Didn't get too. There wasn't a big figure at that time during that string of years that I felt like cared about me or was there for me. My mom cared about me. She just didn't have the mental capacity to be able to be a good mother or a very strong human at all in the world. So I was pretty much on my own. And then through the years of doing that until I was about 16, one of my private therapists actually in a place called Rivendell seemed to care a little more and decided to tell me about being able to be emancipated because he didn't feel like I needed to be in those places. And I was just wasting government money and going through tons and tons of therapy. And I think I was doing pretty good. But anyway, he saw that I didn't need to be in such an intense place, so he told me about getting emancipated and helped me actually follow through with doing that. And
so you actually got emancipated at 16
yes.
from the state.
Yeah, I sued I guess the state and my mom had partial, but they both had partial custody, so I took them to court and told them why I thought I should be an adult at 16. I didn't deserve to be in these places, and I won. So.
Was there anything that inspired you, or anyone that inspired you when you were in the situation you were? Did you look beyond sort of your scope?
There were a couple of counselors actually at this one place, the activities therapist. I looked up to her and she inspired me. She seemed really strong and free and cool, and she was pretty hard-edged. She wasn't very nice, period, but there was something about her that inspired me, so I always liked spending time with her, and she stuck with me and taught me some just things about your body and getting things out, and sports therapy is what she did. So, but I thought that was a really that part of it really touched me the most, because I was always very sports oriented. So it's something I actually really enjoyed, and then just really getting really physical and working out your aggressions and whatnot. So anyway, she had a cool energy, and I always remembered her.
When you say she stuck with you, what did you mean?
I mean, I'm thinking about her right now. She comes up in my head and my heart as somebody who I
but
remember.
Then you said she wasn't very nice.
She wasn't very nice, but she was still all those other things. She wasn't nice, she wasn't. I don't remember her ever looking in my eyes and talking to me directly. Or I remember one time actually I was all proud because I got some running shoes and some proper shoes, and I called out of my door because I was wanting to tell her, and then she came in and got me in trouble because you're not supposed to speak outside of your door. There's really a lot of rules, and so I felt that moment kind of took me back a little bit about her. I just thought I was excited. I wanted to tell her about something, and I got in trouble because I was excited. But she just wasn't very personal with us. But she was still cool. I was 11.
You were 11.
Maybe I was 12 by this time.
And it's kind of unfathomable that you were put in that situation, and you got in trouble for speaking out of your door.
Rivendell was a weird place. Everything is against the rules. Everything. And you're not allowed to speak without being, you have to raise your hand, and there's all these crazy rules. So that was totally unallowed. So I got in trouble, and you get privileges taken away or whatever.
And your only crime was trying to run away from a situation that was abusive, basically.
That's how I felt. I was a pretty good kid otherwise. I did get into trouble at school a lot, it seemed, but I don't know. I don't remember being that bad of a kid. But the reason I was in those facilities is because I was a runaway, and then my mom couldn't or take care of me. So, but
it sounds like prison.
It's kid prison for sure.
What would you say to a kid that was in care?
Well, I would say hang in there and really focus on yourself and what you want to feel and do and be in the future, and know that that's going to come, and you will be able to do and feel and be those things. And it's really intense at the moment, and it's always really intense for the rest of your life, but at some point you can use all the tools that you're learning